For the interruption, Mr. Whigham, Her Honor says you may answer the question, which I believe is, to what extent, if any, did Mr. Depp ever have a deal to perform in Pirates 6?
So we finished the deal, and then we closed the deal at $22.5 million for that film, is my memory.
Which studio was involved in the Pirates series, including Pirates 6?
So that was Disney.
Was Disney the studio involved in all of the Pirates movies?
Yes.
What role was Mr. Depp to play in Pirates 6?
Objection calls for speculation.
I'll allow it.
And hearsay.
I'll allow it.
Captain Jack Sparrow.
Was the $22.5 million to be paid to Mr. Depp by Disney or by some other entity?
Disney.
And when was that $22.5 million to be paid to Mr. Depp?
It would be paid when he shoots it. We call it principal photography, so when the film shoots.
Who was the producer of the Pirates franchise?
Jerry Bruckheimer.
Does Mr. Bruckheimer work for Disney?
No.
In 2017, to what extent, if any, was Mr. Bruckheimer supportive of Mr. Depp remaining in the Pirates franchise?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. Putting aside his role in the Pirates films, did Mr. Depp have any other affiliations with Disney in 2017?
Yes.
What were those affiliations?
He, if I remember, in the spring, you know, he went down to Disneyland and put on the Captain Jack Sparrow outfit and wardrobe and went into the ride. He and Disney had worked out a fun little thing where he was going to take the place of the automated, you know, Captain Jack Sparrow on the Pirates ride, and so he would kind of surprise people as they were going along there. And so I remember he did that, and then in May of 2017, he went to Disney Shanghai to help open the Pirates of the Caribbean ride there.
What, if anything, did those affiliations signify about the status of Mr. Depp's relationship with Disney as of that time?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Thank you, Your Honor. To what extent, if any, did Mr. Depp socialize with anyone at Disney in 2017, to the extent you know?
Objection, Your Honor.
I'll allow it to the extent he knows.
Do you know whether Mr. Depp socialized with Disney during 2017, yes or no?
Objection, Your Honor. Foundation and hearsay.
I do.
If you could lay a foundation to how he knows.
How do you know that Mr. Depp socialized with Disney in calendar year 2017?
Because I was there.
Who, would you please describe for the jury what you mean when you said you were there when Mr. Depp socialized with Disney?
We had a dinner in spring of 2017 with myself, Jerry Bruckheimer, Johnny, and Sean Bailey, who was running the film, you know, was president of Disney.
How did the dinner conclude?
Great. I mean, very, very nice. It was a great dinner.
As of early December 2018, so we're now in December of 2018, what, if anything, was your understanding of the status of whether Mr. Depp would actually appear in Pirate 6?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Whigham, did there come a time when you saw an op-ed that purportedly written by Amber Heard that appeared in the Washington Post?
Yes.
Mr. Whigham, I would like to show you, please, what was entered previously into evidence as Plaintiff's Exhibit 1. Mr. Gibson, would you please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1? And, Your Honor, may we please publish this to the jury as it's been previously? Oh, it is. Thank you. Mr. Whigham, have you ever seen this document before?
Yes.
What is it?
I believe it's the opinionated op-ed in the Washington Post that Ms. Heard wrote.
Mr. Whigham, when did you first see Ms. Heard's op-ed in the Washington Post?
It would have been right contemporaneous to when it came out.
And Tom, if you would please move ahead to, I believe, the second page in Plaintiff's Exhibit 1, and drawing your attention specifically to the third paragraph of the op-ed, Ms. Heard writes, quote, 2 years ago, I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out, unquote. What, if any, understanding do you have of that reference?
That it was regarding Johnny and their relationship.
Directing your attention, Tom, if we could just move back up to the first page of Exhibit 1, directing your attention to the title of the article, quote, Amber Heard, colon, I spoke up against sexual violence, unquote. What, if any, understanding do you have of that reference?
Objection, Your Honor. It's irrelevant what his understanding is.
I'll allow it.
That was rather shocking, I remember, because it was the first time I'd heard an allegation of sexual abuse.
And against whom was the allegation of sexual abuse?
Objection, Your Honor. How would he know?
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Whigham, directing your attention to the fifth paragraph of Plaintiff's Exhibit 1, Ms. Heard writes, quote, I had the rare vantage point of seeing in real time how institutions protect men accused of abuse, unquote. To what does that refer?
Objection, Your Honor. How would he know what it refers?
I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
Mr. Gibson, if you would please take down Plaintiff's Exhibit 1. Mr. Whigham, how, if at all, was Ms. Heard's op-ed different from other articles about the couple's relationship?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay foundation.
All right.
Other articles?
Mr. Whigham, had you seen other articles in the course of your duties as Mr. Depp's agent about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp?
Objection, Your Honor. Still.
Yes.
Calls for hearsay foundation.
I'll allow it.
Thank you. How, if at all, was the op-ed different from other articles you had read about the Johnny Depp-Amber Heard relationship?
It was a first-person account coming from the victim. It's extremely impactful.
Impactful in a good or bad way?
With respect to Johnny, it was catastrophic because it was coming from a first-person account. It was not from a journalist. It was not from someone observing. It was from someone saying, this happened to me.
Mr. Whigham, between December 18, 2018, the date of the op-ed, and October 2020, did Mr. Depp perform in any studio films?
Sorry, could you just repeat the dates?
Between December 18th, 2018, which is the date that Ms. Heard's op-ed appeared, and October 2020, to what extent, if any, did Mr. Depp perform in any studio films?
Zero. No studio films.
How, if at all, did Ms. Heard's op-ed impact Mr. Depp's ability to land roles in studio films between December 2018 and October 2020?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay foundation and expert.
I'll sustain that objection. Next. Are you near the end, Mr. Chu? I just want to make sure because it's coming up on our morning break. Okay.
I
Go.
have probably 5 minutes.
Okay, that's good. Go ahead.
What effect, if any, did the op-ed have on the release of Minamata, the indie film you mentioned earlier?
Objection, Your Honor. Calls for hearsay speculation.
He worked on
You
the
want to approach for a moment?
Sure. Yes, Your Honor. What happened, Mr. Whigham, after the op-ed, but before October 2020, with respect to Minamata?
So the op-ed came out in December, and it was right as we were going on Christmas break, and Minamata was supposed to start in January, and I remember it was very, very difficult to keep Minamata together. The financing became shaky. The budget had to come down. Johnny's fee came down in order to save the movie.
Tom, if you would please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 584, and we're not asking to publish it because it does not come in. This is an email chain with the subject line, quote, Johnny Depp's Jack Sparrow won't
I
return.
object to him reading
All right.
even from that to the jury.
That's fine, Your Honor. We
Okay, move
can. Mr. Whigham, do you recognize this email chain?
Yes, now that I'm looking at it.
What is the date of this email chain?
I think it's December 20th.
December 20th of what year, sir?
Sorry, December 20th of 2018.
Mr. Whigham, directing your attention to the middle email message on Plaintiff's Exhibit 584, did you receive this message from Christian Carino in or about December 20th, 2018 at 3:26 p.m.?
Your Honor, I'm going to object because it's a hearsay document. He's asking questions from the hearsay document.
I'll
It's
allow
double.
that. I'll allow that question. We'll see where we go.
Her Honor said you may answer that question.
Yes, I see, I see what he's asking me.
Would you please explain to the jury what the message was about?
Objection, Your Honor, hearsay. Hearsay. He's asking him to essentially say
If we
what.
want to approach for a moment.
Tom, if you could please take that down. Mr. Whigham, did there come a time after Ms. Heard's publication of the op-ed on December 18, 2018, but before October 2020, that you learned more about Disney's plans about whether it would cast Mr. Depp in Pirate 6?
Objection, hearsay.
All right.
I'm just asking whether he
Okay, I'll allow that.
Yes.
when did that happen?
In 2019.
What happened? Go ahead.
No, Your Honor. object.
Next question.
What happened in 2019 with respect to Disney, your learning about Disney's plans, whether to use Mr. Depp in Pirate 6?
Objection, hearsay.
What happened? Is that,
Yes.
I'll allow what happened. Go ahead.
It became clear they were going in a different direction.
When did you learn that Disney was going in a different direction and no longer planned to use Mr. Depp in Pirate 6?
Early 2019.
Who is Margot Robbie?
She's a fantastic actress. She's a client of CAA.
What, if anything, did you learn about the role Margot Robbie would be playing in Pirate 6?
I think that calls for hearsay. Again, Your Honor, I'm going to object.
I'll overrule the objection.
I learned that they were developing a Pirates project for her to star in.
After you learned that Disney was going in a different direction in early 2019 and no longer planned to use Mr. Depp, to what extent did you reach out to Jerry Bruckheimer or Sean Bailey?
Objection, Your Honor, calls for hearsay.
It does not, Your Honor.
Overruled, I'll allow it.
Thank you, Your Honor.
A lot.
Did you reach out to Mr. Bruckheimer and Mr. Bailey jointly or separately?
Separately.
What, if anything, was the result of your outreach to Mr. Bruckheimer and Mr. Bailey?
Objection still calls for hearsay, Your Honor.
Calls for hearsay. Yes, Chief.
I'm just asking what the result was.
It's still based on his communications with them.
All right, I'll sustain the objection. Next question.
After your outreach to Mr. Bailey or strike that, was your outreach to Mr. Bruckheimer and Mr. Bailey successful?
Objection, leading.
I'll allow it.
No. I successfully made contact with them, but I was not successful in rescuing pirates for Johnny.
When was the last time you discussed Mr. Depp's role in Pirate 6 with Jerry Bruckheimer, Sean Bailey, or anyone else at Disney?
I'm going to object, Your Honor, on hearsay.
Overruled.
2019, I believe.
In addition to Pirate 6, did Mr. Depp lose other films between December 2018 and October 2020 because of Ms. Heard's op-ed?
Objection.
I'll sustain the objection.
In addition to Pirate 6, did Mr. Depp lose any other films between December 2018 and October 20?
Objection, Your Honor. First of all, I don't think he testified that he lost Pirate 6. Second of all, it's
She's now contradicting the witness's testimony, which is inappropriate.
Both of you, overruled. Let's go. Next, go ahead and answer the question.
Yes. You know, after the op-ed, it was impossible to get him a studio film, which is what we normally would have been focused on in that time period.
Mr. Whigham, to what extent did COVID, or strike that, to what extent, if any, did COVID impact Mr. Depp's opportunities prior to October 2020?
I think it had an effect on Johnny, like other actors to some degree. But we were still doing business, especially on behalf of, bigger stars that greenlit films. And so what was happening was we would close deals or, put together a movie and then just set the start date for whenever people could get together and actually shoot the movie.
Mr. Whigham, in your many interactions with Mr. Depp, have you ever seen him angry?
Objection, Your Honor. It's leading.
I'll sustain as to leading.
In your many interactions, thank you, Your Honor. In your many interactions with Mr. Depp, to what extent, if any, have you ever seen him lose his temper?
I never have, actually.
To what extent, if any, has Mr. Depp ever raised his voice in your presence?
No, he never has.
Mr. Whigham, to what extent have you ever seen Mr. Depp engage in any violence?
Never.
Mr. Whigham, other than Ms. Heard, are you aware of any other woman who has ever accused Mr. Depp of physical abuse?
Objection, leading, foundation, and hearsay.
I'll sustain the objection to leading.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you, Mr. Whigham.
All right.
I'll pass the witness.
All right, Mr. Whigham, we'll do cross-examination in about 15 minutes. I'm going to take a 15-minute morning recess, okay, sir? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we'll go ahead and take our morning recess. Do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside.